Hello, so in this video we will cover the skinning of the eyelids. So first we want to take a look at the joints, the eyelid joints, and we can select the rig component and display the joints in the channel box. So with this we will get a good idea about how the eyelid performs already. And yeah, we will now go ahead and apply those joints to the skin and use some convenient methods to generate the skin blending between inner lid, outer lid, and the rest of the face. So first we're gonna add those joints to the skin cluster, and we can do so by selecting all those joints from the um, selection set that has been created once the rig is built. So we can select all of them except iris and pupil. We need all of these inner and outer joints. So basically all of them here. So the iris and pupil and ball, those will be skinned to the cornea and eyeball. So let's select the face and add those joints. Yeah, let's lock the weights. Oh, well, actually, yeah, we're gonna lock the weights. So no weight adjustments will be done once joints are applied. And here is our joint set applied to the skin cluster. And now, well, we can use any skinning method you prefer. You might use your own skinning tools to, yeah, make the skin weighting. But if you have the bare full version, then there's an extra tools um, with skinning methods and helper utilities for the skinning, including the skin loop blending. And this little utility here allows you to create the weight values automatically based on uh, joint row selections. Um, so so that works as follows. So we will set the start loop and the end loop of the geometry and set the corresponding joints and then um, define the start and end weight of those to create the skin weights. So at the moment, none of these joints have any weighting yet. Um, so what we do is, so first we select let me go to the gray shaded. So let's select um, uh, the first outermost edge loop, which marks the borderline of the eyelid basically. And we can actually use the outer one here. That one, keep in mind, should be 17 in this case. And we set this as the start loop. And now as the end loop, we will select the innermost and in this case, for this model, we can use this border selection here, going from here to here. So this marks the end of the um, row selection that will follow the eyelids 100%. So this again should be 17 loops. We set the end loop. So both are 17 edges. And now we will set those joints. So these are those joints here, and we'll select all of them, and also select the inner joint, which we can find right here. So this is the left side outer lid and inner lid joint. So it's this one and that one. And was selected accidentally, so make sure you have only selected the upper lids and the inner and outer lids. The inner and outer lid joints are not visible at the moment. This is a bug actually, but we don't need to worry about this. So we set those joints, should be 18 joints, so one more joint than edges. So it's 18 vertices equals to 18 joints, so that's perfectly fine. So the weighting should be distributed from 1, in this case, to 1. So the end weight, which is the end loop, will also receive 100% weighting to those joints. So we'll make a 100% weighting, so 1 to 1. And this option will detect the closest joint, so this is fine. And yeah, we will just hit create skin weights. And if we go to the skin cluster and select those joints, we will see the skin weights have been applied. So we don't need to manually select each and every loop, but we can just use this little utility, which will help us tremendously and speed up the skin weight tremendously. So this inner joint and the outer joint has been weighted as well. So everything is weighted, and right now there's an influence of the face head joint, and we can remove that actually once all the skinning is applied. So we can see that I think it's called head. So in the skin joint still has weighting. Since I'm always working in post weight mode, now it's a 50% following, but we can ignore this for now. We will. I mean, we can simply remove those weightings at this point already. I think in the latest Maya versions it will not break anything, so we can do this right now. Value is zero flood, but so and okay, this looks a bit strange with the weighting, with the sorry, with the shading here, but I think we can ignore this. But here we can see that the skinning has been applied correctly, and the mesh follows very nicely with the joints. And now we will go ahead and do the next steps for the skin weighting. And this will be actually, this shading issue is a little bit annoying at the moment. I think it might be better to bring back the weighting. I think this is a display issue caused by the weighting. So let me just bring back the weighting here. Yeah, that is looking better. So we can take care about this weighting later once all the weights for the eyelid joints have been applied. So we will go ahead, since the start loop is still selected in this utility. We can go ahead and select the outer edge loop. which is this one, and we hit set end loop. Should also be 17 edges. It's the same joints that we want to apply the weighting to. And this time we use end weight 0 because we want to distribute the weighting from the inner to outer lid from 1 to 0. So what this tool does is it will create a nice blending from this uh, joint to that joint and the corresponding vertices in the geometry, of course, very evenly, and do so for each and every loop. So this is just a one-click skinning solution. So we'll create skin weights, and this is already done. So we can now look at the weightings that have been applied, and you can see here it's a very nice distributed weighting here all around. So this is a very quick way to skin the eyelid and very cleanly. So once we have removed the head joint weighting, this will look perfectly. At this point, there are a little bit wrongly applied weights, which we might have to fix manually because the method that is in use here is a closest point approximation, and if the topology isn't right, so here it's a little bit off actually, and it might create the weighting a little bit incorrectly. But I think yeah, we can ignore this for now and fix it later. So now we will go ahead and apply the weightings to the rest of the joints. So we'll do the same for the lower lid. Start loop, and we will select this one for the end loop. Pick the joints. This is the lower lid. And again, those inner and outer lids. Set joints and 1 to 1, create skin weights, done. The same for the outer lid. And we will pick this loop here, so we'll go ahead and select this one, set end loop, and weight 0, create. And here you go. So now we should be able to remove the head joint weighting. Without any shading distractions. So we can review the skinning. Actually, yes, there's still something missing because now this is fully weighted to the eyelid joints. Of course, we need to also apply the blending to the head joint, but in this case, since we have outer lid joints, which is actually, by the way, an option of the eyelid rig, if we go to the guide settings, you can see that outer line is an option, right? By default, it's turned on because you want to have an outer line rig usually for high quality characters. So we need to skin this as well, we will have to pick the same edge loop for the upper lid. So this one, start loop. And this was the end loop. Set end loop. And these are the joints. Let's go to the selection set and select all of these joints, including this is the inner lid outer and outer lid outer here. Set joints, and this time we will go start weight 0 and end weight 1. Right, so we've picked the start loop here, which will receive 0 weights, and the end loop, we have picked this one. We could also invert it actually, but in this case we need to go from 0 to 1 instead of 1 to 0. So we hit create skin weights, and now the result is just perfect. So we have a very nice distribution of the skin weights with just a few clicks. So you can see here also that the fact that some weights haven't been applied correctly due to the misaligned topology, it's not even such a big deal. So we might be able to ignore this fully actually, but it might have an effect at some point. But using delta mesh, possibly it might not be a big issue at all. But we will see about this later. But for now, as you see, we have a very nicely distributed skinning. And we will do so with the lower lid as well. So again, this was the loop that we selected, I think. No, it was this one here. So about loop selection, it might be a good idea to actually create selection sets for that, so you don't get confused, or have actually a display setting in the model or whatever. There are different solutions for that, different methods that will help you to have loop references for easier selection. But yeah, so this will be our start loop again, and I think this was our end loop. Wait again. Yeah, see, I'm already getting a little bit confused about this. So having a loop reference would be actually very good to have. But yeah, we can handle it. So start loop, end loop, and select the joints. This is we can select it here to quickly see which row we need. So we select this row here and also the inner and outer sets. No, create skin weights, yes. And here we go. For the lower lid, we have also a very nicely distributed weighting. So here we can see an issue due to the weighting which hasn't been applied correctly in this corner. I might do an update to this utility that detects the edge flow correctly, since, as I mentioned before, it's currently location based instead of edge flow based. But yeah, we can fix this pretty easily if we select this. Let me select this joint here, and let me just search this joint here. So, right. So here we can see it has the wrong weighting, and I think let me search for lower lid. So lower lid or L lower lid. Yeah, this makes it much easier. So So it's this one. Actually, it's the inner lid. Yeah, so this is the problem here. So we have this weighting applied, so we can simply fix this here and instead apply this weighting to the uh, lower lid, to this one here. So we can do some little bit of manual skinning here, and this looks much better. Right, so the logic is pretty clear, and we can already go ahead and do some further testing here of the eyelid. So let me just hide the joints again, go to the iRig group and hide the joints. And you can already see that, yeah, the iRig behaves already fairly nicely. Also, there is the blink attribute available on the eye target control. And we'll talk about the ceiling here in a bit. But first, I want to um, finish the skinning. So we will go ahead and complete the skinning for the outer lids. So here there's still some skinning missing here. Actually, let me just check what's happening here. Yeah, these joints don't seem to have any influence. So let's just go ahead and continue with the skin weight blending. So again, select this edge loop, set start loop, set end loop, and looks like we haven't applied those joints yet. Let's go to the selection set here. Select those joints. I'm not sure if we've done this already. It doesn't look like so. So this is the L outer lid. There we go. This is the joints, and we go 0 to 1 and create. Yeah, here we are. Okay, and so now we only need to apply the skinning from this outer edge loop to the rest of the face, which also will be a very smooth blending. So for this, we will select. So keep in mind the end loop is selected for the. So we will just start from scratch to make it clear. So make a new edge loop selection, which is this one. This is the start loop, and the end loop will be this one. Select the joints. Keep in mind to go to the selection set for convenient selection. The outer and inner. Set joints, and we go from 1 to 0. So from 1 to 0. Create skin weights. And here we go. Now, this is still not perfect because there are, remember, still the skin weights applied for the head joint, and we'll fix this in a second. Um, so we will actually select the head joint and apply this joint here. So it's only one joint, and we invert it. We invert the weighting from 0 to 1. And here you go. So this is a very smooth, perfectly distributed weighting. So let's check the head joint. So you can see here the skinning applied here very smoothly. And also for the upper lid. The upper outer, these ones here you can see very nicely distributed weighting. Except some of those little errors here, but yeah. I will look into fixing this in the future. But this is, again, topology dependent. And yeah, but it's not very clean, actually. So we'll look into fixing that in the future. But yeah, the logic is very clear. And let me do the same for the lower outer lid. I'll select this edge loop, set start loop, and the end loop will be this one. Set end loop, and yeah, we can keep the head joint. Actually, we can already use this setting, create skin weights, and now we will do the same, but with inverted weighting. Let's go to the selection set, select the lower lid outer row, grab the corners, these ones, yeah, and do set joint, and then do 1 to 0. Great. And here you go. So there are some nasty weights here. Let's check out what's happening. This looks fine. This might be an issue related to the incorrect weight distribution. But yeah, so this joint has received. Yeah. Oh yeah, I know what's happening here. So those joints should have been guided correctly. Remember, I didn't align the joint guides to the edge loops, and so there's some imprecision here. And so finally, the weights have been applied to the wrong loops. So this is not very nice, but I think with Delta Mush we will be able to fix this fairly easily. Let's just apply a Delta Mush right away. So let's go to deform Delta Mush, and actually let me also save a new version. Save setup, save new version. So with the Delta Mush in place, let's do the weight painting straight away for the Delta Mush. Let's first flood it with 0, and let's just apply some Delta Mush weights around this area here. So something like this, and then can smooth the weighting a little bit. So just make sure to not use Delta Mush on the borders, because this will just smoothen the deformation way too much. It needs to stick perfectly with the joints. So the Delta Mush should clean this deformation up fairly nicely. All right, so here we go. We hide the joints again, and now we have a very nicely functional eyelid already with yeah, uh, fairly limited time, I would say, due to the nice skin loop blending utility from the Bear helper tools. And in the next video, I will talk a bit about those eyelid parameters, how to use them, how to set them correctly to establish a perfect blink with a good sealing, and talk about the flashing values and stuff like this. But for the eyelid skinning, I think we are good to go with this tutorial. We have covered it so far fairly well. And of course, you can go ahead and mirror this. Make sure to use the label association as the first association input, since Bear is using joint labels, which allows perfect mirror labeling. And so, yeah, we can safely mirror this skin weight setup as far as the model is perfectly symmetrized, of course. So just one click, we should be good to go with the skin weight mirror. Yes.